Okay, guys. Well, of course, this is going to be a topic about Cybertruck. This is Cyber Week, and it's a big deal, right? Because this is a long time now since Tesla has had a new vehicle. And whenever a new vehicle is launched, it is traditionally based on the stock and the fundamentals of the company. It's what moves the company's stock over time. So, just a reminder of the history: the Roadster was launched in 2008, the Model S in 2012, the Model X in 2015, the Model 3 2018, the Y in 2020. And since then, we haven't had a launch, except, of course, the Model 3 Highland revealed just a few months ago. And now this Thursday, it's going to be the Cybertruck. This was announced in 2019. It is delayed by 3, even 4 years. If it's getting, yeah, it's 4 years by now, exactly. But at the end of the day, though, if you look at it, it's almost every 2 or 3 years, that is when Tesla is able to launch a brand new vehicle. So from that perspective, 2020 to 2023, it's not terrible. This is right on track. The company's still growing significantly, but this is a big deal. So let's go through the speakers here and kind of tell me what you think. How big of a deal is this, and why do you think it's something that we should be excited for? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't view the product in the truck category. I actually view it as it's going to participate in that category, and it's going to create probably a new category of people that are like me, who never owned a pickup truck, never thought of owning a pickup truck, was never interested in owning a truck with a bed, and now there is one. And it happens to have a locked cover, which is great, and it has, and it looks like the future. And I think that's what makes this thing special. This looks like, if you grew up, in whatever the kind of the video game era, which is a lot of people on this call, it kind of looks like something out of a video game, but it's real life. And I think the thing that Tesla's been working on, I think they could have potentially taken the product to market sooner in some respects, but I think they stepped back and they've looked at, what would make this thing competitive, and just crush everything else out there. Maybe not in every category, but kind of where it matters for consumers. And that's what they've been working on. I think features have been added over time. I don't think the way this thing was featured in 2019 is what's going to ship here in a couple of days. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the product. Now, when I put my supply chain hat on, I don't think there's another. I think this is going to be tough to ramp. And if you've listened to some of the conversations we've had over the last several months, I've been very clear on that. But I actually don't think there's another company that's more equipped to deal with, this is a materials thing. This is a kind of a dimension and tolerance thing. I just don't think there's another company that's actually better equipped to take. I think other companies just wouldn't have taken it on and wouldn't have been, bold enough to take it on. And then, or they'll do something really bizarre, kind of like the Cadillac Salute, which is kind of like old and in futuristic looking at the same time, but kind of, to me, just more in the weird category. This product, I believe the Cybertruck's polarizing. I think you're gonna like it. I think if you liked it in the pictures, I think you're gonna love it in person. I've seen it in person a couple of times, and I think it's just going to literally stop traffic and, in parking lots and valets and for a period of time. And that's not if you drove a Tesla, for the first couple of years, maybe, after the Roadster 2012 to 2014, like with the Model S, it was definitely people were not used to. The first thing that struck me about that car was hearing it whiz by. I was in the Bay Area and just there's no noise coming out of the thing. And you would expect noise coming out of a car. And I think you're just going to get that with the Cybertruck times 10. So I do think it's a special product. I do think that they're going to figure out these ramp issues. I think they're going to be difficult to predict. And I think that's why you gave it a fairly decent runway of 12 to 18 months. That's not overly typical. It's not atypical, by the way, for a product to take that much time to get to its original scale. Maybe a little bit slower than normal, but not, out there. And I think this will be a product. I think I'll close on. I don't think they know what peak capacity is going to be. I think they put a number out there, because you got to tell suppliers something. And I think they're going to see these order conversion rates. I think they're going to be surprised internally. I think this is going to be one of those products where they just continue to add capacity year over year and really just to close on that, when you're building a supply chain and you think you're like, you're gonna get to 250, 300 or 400 or 500, the worst thing you could do is actually buy all that capacity and install it up front. Because what you're gonna find is you're ramping and your company like Tesla that does rapid iteration, they're gonna change that tooling. They may change some of the capital out. They may delete some of the capital. So that's why I believe they bought in chunks and they installed the 125K, and then they will get the product to a certain point in yield, by part number and at the system level, and they'll get the cost structure, the COGS down to a certain level, and then they'll probably release the next set of tooling, which they may have already done, by the way. So this will be an iterative process where they take the cost structure down, they improve the quality of it, and there'll be another wave of tooling that comes. It'll look very similar. It may look identical to what they're shipping today, but on the insides, there could be a lot of changes that improve the cost structure. So I'll close there.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Love it whenever we have an expert like you in supply chain give us some kind of background and what to expect. So before we get to our special guest, Bull Sawyer Merritt joining us, Xander, I want to ask you because you must be so excited. You actually bought a Tesla Semi. You have reservations for multiple Cybertrucks. You have seen all the lineups around the stores, and you're actually invited, and you're going to be going to the event. Tell me what you're thinking.
Thanks. I'm super excited to be a plus one from SAT Futurist or SA underscore Futurist. I'm honored that he invited me as his plus one when he could pick so many others in the community that are worthy of it. But I just like the lines around the Tesla showrooms are not surprising, but at the same time, it's one of these look at what's happening. Put your hate aside for a second about Tesla and just realize that the product is so unique and so special that the average Joe who might have not considered, this vehicle, it's that they're willing to, wait in line to just stand in front of it, which is just crazy. But it shows you that it's very, very unique, and it's going to cross eventually. I think in the beginning, it's going to be hard to judge just how successful is it from from the people who have placed orders. The initial deliveries are all super fans, so I'm really looking forward to hearing the average truck owner hear what their opinions are when they get in it. They know what the price is it good for their business. We hear a little bit of it in the run up to deliveries, but yeah, I'm just very excited to see what the price will be for the lowest price. I kind of been thinking about, what was it, Chuck that said that he thinks that there's going to be a surprise. I think it was him. So and I could totally see, based on Elon's comments about the other trucks being too expensive and the other offerings in the EV category of trucks, that they have kept the price lower, or kept the price away from the public eye, because they're going for shock factor. Like, how epic would it be if they said, it's the same as what we said 4 years ago? And I don't think that that's going to happen, but it would be epic, in my opinion. So, but what Jeff said about the supply chain, I think that that's like the more meaty part of the conversation than just the excitement for it.
Yeah, I do agree. That could be a big surprise. So let's welcome Sawyer Merritt to the stage here at our Cyber Bull show about the Cybertruck. So Sawyer is very well known in the Tesla community. He is the one of the top people to follow because he basically just spits out breaking news. He's been invited to CNBC once before, and tonight he was supposed to be there, but unfortunately got bumped because of the Charlie Munger passing that happened. But so let's pretend. So Jeff, you and I, let's pretend that we are CNBC hosts, and let's ask dumb questions to Sawyer and see if he can answer them. So Sawyer, welcome to the show. I've been hearing some terrible things about the Cybertruck. I've been hearing that they can't produce, and Elon is basically saying there's no way they could make any at all. Yeah, tell me more. What are you expecting?
Thanks for having me. Hey, I wanted to build up actually a point that Jeff had said about the conversion rate. I think it will be better than Tesla expects, especially if, like, the Cybertruck backlog is so long that if you were to deny your spot in line, you potentially have to wait years to potentially get another spot or take delivery rather. And I think if they honor that 2019 promise that said on the order page that, order now to lock in FST pricing, if they honor that, I think the conversion rate will be much higher because people aren't going to want to miss out on a $7,000 or $8,000 lock-in price versus 12,000 or whatever it ends up being. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, I didn't read that whole Bloomberg article today. You were just referencing Herbert, but I think Elon is tempering expectations. A lot of people like really wanted him to in recent years. It's like every earnings call, he'd just be like, Tesla to 4 trillion, like we're going to kill it this year with output. And now all of a sudden he's sort of doing a 180 and tempering expectations. And for some reason, people don't like it. So it's kind of a funny 180. But I think he said the same thing about the Model X way back then. Tesla is just really good at figuring out problems on the fly and very quickly. So I think whatever pops up, they'll be able to figure out. There are various innovations with this truck that do make it easier to manufacture than a traditional pickup truck, but obviously the new technology in it will also make it at the same time very difficult. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can ramp this thing up. But I think it'll be good.
Sawyer, can you give
Uh,
us, sorry, Jeff, just want to get Sawyer to tell us what have you heard is real facts and which one is still rumors. So obviously we heard rumors about the price, we heard rumors about the battery size and range, but it sounds like the tires is facts. What else do we know is real?
So, so I stopped leaking about 2 years ago, so I don't really know anything these days, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't share it. But there are other accounts that sort of cover that stuff more than I do these days.
And those accounts are banned from going to the event.
I will say that though, I think the battery pack will be smaller than most people expect, and certainly smaller than a lot of Tesla's competitors. I think the efficiency will be class leading, and I think the tow rating will be good. I still think that 11,000 pound tow rating that Tesla showed a couple of weeks ago, I still think that's for the dual motor rather than the tri motor. Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out final numbers on Thursday.
Sorry, do you think that the battery pack, like sub 400 range or whatever the rumor is only for the dual motor, and then once they get more batteries, they'll go for the tri motor and go for the big range, or are we doomed?
I think the dual motor will probably be like 350-ish range. And I bet the tri-motor would be in the mid to high 400s. That'd be my guess. Maybe they can get to do the 500, but most people won't need that. The dual will be just fine for their needs. I don't know which one they'll launch first, whether it's a dual or tri. I feel like they could do both, but historically Tesla's launched the most expensive one first. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just went the opposite route and did the dual.
Yeah, with 4680s supply being limited, I would imagine that this is where a 4680 or the dual makes more sense. But I wonder what you think and what Jeff thinks about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think that, the tri-motor would likely be around 80,000, if not more. So it might not even qualify for the EV tax credit. And Tesla might just want to come in with a really price competitive truck that does qualify for that EV tax credit. So that might be the direction they take it.
the difference between I like the comparisons that Sawyer was given in terms of like Model X and this product and the difficulty to build. I think one of the things that's different is I believe the Cybertruck was designed in a time frame when Tesla was in kind of the Model 3, Model Y, kind of approach to design. And then they've obviously changed a bunch of stuff since then. It's not designed like the Model Y, but they were not, if you think of Tesla in like 3 major price tiers of like SX, and then you think 3Y, and then you think of the 25,000 vehicle. I believe this one was kind of designed like, can we be somewhere in the range in terms of like the core version of this product be somewhere in the range of the Model Y, and then stack the complexity on top of that versus starting at a Model X kind of price tier, component count, complexity, and stacking cost onto that. So when S and X launched, I mean, these they were 130 to 150,000 like on the high end, and and Tesla was able to bring that cost structure down. I mean, I believe that they're building those products somewhere between 55 and $65,000, somewhere in that range each, depending on how it's configured. And I think the Cybertruck is going to be, it was designed from a unit economics perspective to actually be lower than that, meaningfully lower than that. And then what you stack on top of it right now is a supply chain that's not running anywhere near its rate, factory that's not running anywhere near its rate, And then that's how you have that cost structure that kind of, stacks on top of it right now. So the cars right now, they would be building, at a significant loss. But, over time, that what manufacturers look for is that time to break even point. And what they try to do is, like, with their supply base, with their sourcing decisions, with their decisions in the factory, how they staff the factory, how they look at demand, lumping it. What they try to do is they try to bring that time to break even point earlier in the calendar. The earlier you can bring that in the calendar as possible, obviously, the better your operation is going to be from a profitability perspective. So that's what they're focused on. So I think, well, one of the 2 points I wanted to leave with was, one is, I think this is built on a lower cost structure, and what's the delta right now is just the yield and the velocity of the parts are coming in at are very low until they get them up to their full rated speed. And Tesla's really focused on that time to break even point, because when they get there, and then they'll probably have a bunch of different tooling changes literally every couple of weeks. But when they get there, they'll really turn the crank up, because now you've got the unit economics to a point where you could turn the dial up. The speed in the factory, the number of suppliers you have on your capacity. You would install a lot more capacity then, and then now you're layering additional capacity on a lower cost structure versus tagging that capacity to a design that would have yielded higher cost. So anyway, I don't think this is everyone okay. I don't think this is going to be a situation where it's going to be kind of like a Model X forever, where it's going to be kind of a relatively high cost, high complexity thing to build. I think over time they're going to bring this thing down. It's going to actually be, I think, altogether, including its accessories, probably the highest gross margin product Tesla will have.
I've got a fun question for Robert Scoble, but before we get there, I want to ask Stock Talk Weekly, to what extent do you think that the stock movement today's Tuesday, Tesla stock jumped by $10, is because of anticipation of the Cybertruck?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably attribute it to that. Look, Tesla's a very options-driven stock. It's probably the most options-driven stock of its size ever. That's why I try usually not to put my finger on a specific reason for why the stock is up or down, unless it's like a tremendously powerful catalyst. Like, for example, if Elon were to step down and the stock was down, then I'd be like, yeah, it's because of that. But barring a major catalyst, I try not to do that. If you put a gun in my head, yeah, the stock was probably up today because of hype from the Cybertruck event. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Okay, so Robert, I got a question for you. So, Elon has said a few times now that the Cybertruck is supposed to be the most technologically advanced product that he's ever made, that Tesla's ever going to show. So it's given that, we should expect that the Cybertruck is going to impress with some sort of tech. So to what extent, two questions here, right? One is FSD to version 12. Would it show up at this time, even though it's only being shown to employees? Would they want to say, hey, it's going to ship with the Cybertruck? And then secondly, what about Grok? xAI just launched Grok, the ability to communicate to your car. It's only being, again, distributed to just a small few numbers. It's still early. I'm sure it's got some issues. To what extent might he then say, hey, as a demo anyways, what are you expecting to be showing up on the Tesla?
It would be really smart of Elon to show off a Grok integration into the Cybertruck, even if it's not going to ship for another year, right? You're right on point with the technology. I've been asking people, have you gotten to hear the sound system yet? And nobody has that I know of. I want to hear that sound system because it's got to blow away my Model 3 sound system.
There was a video that was somebody was showing on X, and then you can hear it, and they were just blown away how great it sounds from the outside.
Yeah, if it has the two subwoofers of the new Model 3 refresh, and it has a redesigned speaker system, because they've learned a lot about speakers since the last 5 years, right? How to make these small speakers and how to aim them around the cockpit, and you have a much different cockpit now, and you supposedly have a truck that's sealed from the outside air, right? Because it supposedly floats. I haven't seen that yet either. Have we seen one floating yet?
Just to the beach.
Who's going to be brave enough to do that the first time if it can actually do that?
Hey, Matthew, you are the person who knows the most about the tell me what you're expecting.
Yeah, super excited for the unveil. I think, we'll see, who knows how many vehicles delivered. There's the rumors of 10, but I imagine it's going to be quite a bit more than that. We might also see some deliveries at the showrooms that have received the vehicles. Who knows, maybe some of those are being delivered as well. I'm sure there's people buying them who didn't want to pick it up, in Austin. I expect we'll see two trim levels, the dual motor and tri-motor. I imagine they'll start somewhere close to 60K and 80K. Even though Tesla could sell them for significantly more than that, they're not going to sell a ton of units. So not making a ton of margin on these is not going to be impactful to the business anyway. And it will look a lot better for Tesla if they can sell them at a cheaper price point. I was told back in March that the Cybertruck costs less to build than a Model X, or would sell for less than a Model X. Since then, the Model X price has dropped about 30 grand. So I'm not sure if that is, if that information is still going to be accurate. Elon's been hyping this event up for quite a while. So I think it's going to be a lot more impressive than, say, the Model Y delivery event or the semi-truck delivery event, which were pretty boring events. They lasted, less than an hour. People came on stage, took the cars and drove off. So I think there'll be some sort of tests. They might have some, climbing areas set up for the vehicle. They might do a towing demonstration. They might do a 0 to 60 or a quarter mile time demonstration. I'm guessing they'll show off some accessories, definitely the light bar, possibly a tent, possibly a winch. Those are all products that, we've heard about in some form. So I'm be quite a bit there. And what I'm really hoping we see is kind of some signs of relief or joy from Elon. His last several public appearances, representing Tesla at events or at, the quarterly earnings calls, he seemed a little bit down and depressed or less optimistic than we used to see him. So I'd love to see an optimistic, excited Elon as well.
So let's ask Sawyer and then get the panel to reply to this. So what we did see was 19 showrooms, Tesla showrooms had the Cybertruck there, and people were doing lineups. A number of these locations, even in Canada, great lineups, lots of photos being taken. There's a rumor that some people are saying that delivery might only be 10 in the actual event in Austin. Today, Elon tweeted out saying the deliveries will start Thursday. Could that mean that some of these trucks that are in the showrooms might be delivered to people in those locations? Or what's your, anyways, just what do you think about the excitement? Is that something, different that what we've seen at Apple-esque again?
No, I think those are just display units. I think there will be more than 10 Cybertrucks delivered, though. That'd be my guess. But I imagine when this event's over or in the coming days after that, they would probably unlock those trucks so people can actually get in there, because this would have been fully revealed at that point. But also back in 2019, after that event, there was a huge spike in Google search results for Tesla and Tesla stores. So I imagine the lines will get even longer once this event takes place. And I think roughly 6% of US Tesla stores have a Cybertruck in the showroom. So we'll see where that number is by the end of the year.
Anybody else want to jump in?
I think it's okay. I think if I recall, this is the first time that Tesla's showing the vehicle before their unveiling event. Meaning the production event. The Model 3, there wasn't one like this where they're showing the vehicles before they actually handed it off. So I think this is another way of marketing the vehicle before it's happened before. The other thing I wanted to go over with the Model 3 is that they actually started with the long range with one motor first, briefly, and then they switched over to the dual motor. And because it requires dual motor and the performance requires two motors, that's what they focused on. And the long range didn't come back until a year or two later, quite a bit later.
I don't know which versions honestly will go first, or something that kind of makes sense from a manufacturing perspective. And then, they could flip it. So Tesla's been pretty unpredictable on that. I mean, there's data on what's in the showrooms today. I get that, but see what they decide to do. I just want to hit up on a couple of points. This is not built on the Model X cost structure. I do believe it's still, even though the Model X has been reduced in price, they have the room to reduce that in price. This is built on a much lower cost structure. Again, what been just hampered, by its capacity, its velocity, and the yield of the product today. But I do think it's built on a much lower cost structure. In terms of features, I do think there's a reason the vehicles are locked and you're not able to get inside of them. And I do think I think it's a lot to do with the UI, even though there's been some spy shots put out there. I believe the user interface is going to be new. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fresh. It's going to kind of, mix in with this whole kind of cyber theme. I think that's going to be something special. I do think they're going to start also thinking about just kind of like the sound effects, the interactions, maybe even the haptics, if there are ability to do haptics. Obviously not maybe localized, but generalized in the car. With the sealed cabin, you have a lot of different. I like that Robert brought that up earlier. I mean, is Dolby Atmos coming in, or are there a number of things that they could be
Volvo
doing?
engineers told me they can put sound on buttons now in the cockpit. Yeah, right. And I would expect us to have that kind of capability. So is the screen talking to you?
Yeah,
Does it sound
I mean,
like the screen is talking to you, right? Because the audio is actually being focused on the screen.
yeah, and there's some technology. Yeah, it depends on like what stage it's at from a production. I was working on tech, for example, where you could localize haptics down to the fingertip and actually could follow your fingertip on a display or follow it really on any piece of material that you overlay the touch grid, the touch system grid over. So I don't know. I don't know if that's in there, but I do think, yeah, there's going to be something special with sound, something special about the cabin being sealed. By the way, that could be a huge thing, slowing down the ramp too. And any smartphone, one of the last things that is solved for and takes a lot of time is the sealing of the device, whether it's your iPhone or your latest, IP68 Android. That particular feature takes a lot of final engineering work to lock in and get to really high yield. So yeah, I think there's a reason these things are locked, and I'm looking forward to understanding what that reason is at the event.
If it is air sealed, if it's sealed so it can float in a lake, which is what one of the things Elon pitched earlier, it is sealed for audio as well, so you can do noise canceling in the cabin. So you can make the vehicle quieter than anybody else's thesis.
Absolutely.
So I've got a question for Omar, and then the rest of the panel can answer it after he does. Elon said at the Joe Rogan interview that there's going to be 3 demos. What are the 3 demos that you're expecting?
Well, I think one of them is going to be shooting the Cybertruck, then maybe trying to break the glass. And then I think they're going to do the same with an F-150 or a Ram and see how they compare.
Are they going to have a tug off again?
It could be.
What about the other panel members? What are you guys expecting? Would they show the crash safety, finally show what happened there after it hit the wall? Would they show it, in underwater or on the water? Anything else?
I think the 3 demonstrations will be just them shooting with a 9mm, a shotgun, and the 45. And a towing test video would probably make sense too.
Go ahead, Robert. Anybody else?
Ice. Show off the traction control systems on ice. Show it against the Ford on ice. That'll sell a few into rural America where there's occasionally ice to go through with your truck.
So at first I thought that, that they were going to show videos, but then you realize, why would you do a video if it's a live event, right? They would actually show real demo like they did the first time where they took a sledgehammer. So shooting it, I guess they could do that. That would be very impressive. But, the other 2 that I mentioned, hitting the wall, those are videos. They may not be doing that as a demonstration at the live event.
No, I don't think they're going to do live fire in an event with people, but I think that'll be a video that's shown. I do agree with that one. I think they do want to finish the sequel of the crash test. They wouldn't kind of put that teaser out without completing that. I don't know if that's going to be formally a demo, but I think they'll want to complete that. That may be the second one. And I think the third one could be related to something with, again, the cabin, the interior, the ceiling, the audio, the UI, the kind of how the whole thing works together when you get in the car. Because when you get in the car and you close the door and you put your key card in, that light sequence appears on the front headlight, front LED headlight, where it's prominent in the middle, then it kind of spreads out. That's a cool startup. And then, the air suspension moves, and what's happening inside the car when that happens. I think they may want to show that whole experience, or there could be something related to it going over water. They may show more than 3 things depending on how it's classified. So yeah, I think there's going to be some surprises in store. I don't think everything's out there. And by the way, if I'm Tesla and I prepared for launch events before major product lines, I'm not letting my head of industrial design get up in front of some industrial designer in the group get up in public and leak details about the launch event. I'm just not letting that happen. So I don't know if that was put out there as kind of like misdirection. I'm not saying they're going to deliver thousands of Cybertrucks, but I do think they're capable of doing more than 10. The question on that is, when do they want to flip from this being an R&D project to a production project from a COGS perspective? Because once you kind of get out of that mode of delivering product internally, even though it's purchased, there's an internal like way of purchasing that product for employees. But as soon as you transition out of that to delivering to production to customers, then it starts hitting COGS in a different way financially. So whatever.
Do you have a
Yeah.
prediction of how many per day they need to make to hit this profitability margin?
Oh, I think they need to get, in terms of like some sort of annualized run rate, I think something, north of 100 and, 120,000 units on an annualized basis. I haven't looked at it, thought about it per day, Robert, but I know Tesla knows that number. But yeah, it's got to be a pretty substantial number. Maybe it could be less than that, because again, we have no idea what, I think they have a mixture of engineering issues where they just have to solve it. Like there just needs to be a change made, either process or design. And then they have a mixture of things of like, hey, this tool, it's been running for 2 weeks. It's going to need, 8 more weeks to get to its peak run rate. And when it does, the cost of that part's going to come down. So I think it's a mixture of just time. I think it's a mixture of like a static list of issues that they're grinding through.
My Model 3 was the 7,000th made at the Fremont factory. It took 6 months to make that many, right, when the line first started up. How fast is the Cybertruck line going to spin up? In 6 months, how many have they made?
Yeah, I think it's a $64,000 question. I think so this is what I believe in, kind of me following the company, Model S and X, not a real, more attention to product form and feature, less attention to, is it designed to scale? Model 3, maybe a little bit, not too much, not enough attention probably on DFX, and then a lot of attention on automation. I think this is the first series of products, and probably the redesigned Model Y, obviously, where they have the balance of automation and they have the balance of DFX, and they're just dealing with really difficult new parts that they need to, like, nobody's ever built, they've never built, but when they figure it out, like, they're going to figure it out and it's going to fly, but they just have to figure it out. So
And
in
what was
6
the
months,
holdup on the Model
yeah.
3 line? It was the paint shop, and there's no
Well,
paint shop for this.
I think there's a number of things. Yeah, you're right. Deleting the painting operation is a huge, like, real deal win for any automotive product. If you take the paint shop out of it's a big win. They just replaced it with things that are kind of very difficult right now for them to deal with. And I think once they get through that difficulty, they'll be in great shape. Yeah, the paint shops are like $1 billion of capital or more, and they're time intensive. They're capital intensive. You get yield loss. So, but I think they're dealing with trade-off. Like anytime you're handling stainless in the factory, it's really prone to micro scratches. And I'm sure they're using a grade that'll hold up better, but it is prone to handling defects. They're probably trading off issues. But in the end, I think the move away from a paint shop is a better first principles move than having one.
So by all accounts, by everybody who's seen the Cybertrucks in the showroom, they are saying that it is flawless. It is gorgeous. Somebody said, well, that's only because you're going to only put the best batch there. But of course, when we all saw the Cybertruck in other scenarios much earlier on, they weren't the best. Do you guys think that this is a standard now, that this quality, or is it just that only the best are put out in front in showrooms? What do you think, Omar and Sawyer?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be beautiful. Every Tesla I've bought for years and years since the beginning has been beautiful. And I think in reality, only the people on the internet, the short sellers, the bulls, are really looking at these things with magnifying glasses, thinking that this is how people are going to make their purchasing decisions. I think just the overall look of it is incredible. The performance, the range, the technology, that's really what's going to be driving people. And I don't think your average truck consumer is really going to be taking a magnifying glass to these thing or a ruler and, you know, trying to examine
how well put together it's put, unless there's something totally egregious. This is a much more challenging vehicle to build because it's new, but they seem to be getting a pretty good grasp on putting it together correctly by now, as we can see from the showroom models.
One of the features I think they're going to show is the rear wheel steering for the Cybertruck. The other part is I think Robert asked about the three. The wrap up part of the reason why the wrap up for the three was difficult is because they're actually outsourcing the seats and they realized they couldn't meet the qualifications and specifications, so they had to do it in house. And this was like I believe it was a few months before the volume production, so that was a major issue. So all these suppliers that were supposed to come in and deliver couldn't deliver either in whether it was quantity or specifications, and then Elon had to take everything in house and then that delayed everything and added capex to it. So there was a whole mess that happened behind the scenes for the production that took so long. So I think they've learned quite a bit from that, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna have that issue with the Cybertruck. Granted that nobody has ever made anything like this.
The other thing is that to listen, one of the things I've always followed is like listen to what Elon is saying and kind of track to that. So he said that, the Ford F-150 is a good product. It's just too expensive. So that tells me from a unit economic, remember that there's a difference between target COGS and actual COGS, or target unit economics and actual. So from a target perspective, I believe they've targeted this product to be well below a Model X, maybe just above a Model Y or higher. And then from an actual perspective, it's running higher from what I've explained before. But I would be in the camp that they have target COGS on this that are going to make this, very compelling a number of years to come. And that's where I think F-150 and Silverado and the other ones kind of missed. They had those early launch events, but they said, hey, we're going to ship this thing at $40,000. And then they had the reverse problem, which was I think they called their unit economics incorrectly, and they never got the scale to be able to bring it down to build that model. So anyway, I don't think
You think
Elon
there's
would
a
be
good
saying,
chance
yeah.
that it could be $60,000 or less?
I mean, a model, sure, yeah, absolutely, a version of it. I would be surprised if it wasn't 60,000. There wasn't a version that was 60,000 or less.
What
I
would
would
be
be
the number that
surprised.
would be a shocker to the investors and the customers?
Well, if they showed the pricing from the if they held the pricing from the 2019 launch event, I think that would be a shocker.
And what was that, under 50?
I mean, I think there was someone, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it started at like, 39.9 or around 40, I think, or maybe around, someone correct me, we can pull that up, but it was,
Correct.
That
It
was
was
for the single
yeah,
motor.
single motor was 40K, and that was the shock, was because everyone was expecting 50.
With the Model X, the thing that adds a lot of cost is the middle bar that has to support the gull wings. That caused a lot of problems in manufacturing in the early days, I heard.
Yeah.
What's the cost thing? What does that door in the back of the Cybertruck cost? Does that add any real cost to the truck? If it does,
Like-
I could see them being able to make this thing fairly cheaply. Like
No, I mean, I think that here's the
$40,000
difference. That tonneau cover, that thing is on a series of rails. Like it's engineered in a way where you're not this freeform gull wing, falcon wing that's trying to close in multiple directions. You're on rails, and you've got kind of a trolley system. I say it's designed in a way to where it's a great product, but it's not overly expensive to build. Now, obviously, it's very sturdy. You saw a couple of men standing on top of that thing and jumping up and down. So there's definitely cost in doing that. But I think, again, I think from comparing that to the Falcon Wing doors, I think, you have much lower cost structure in what they did with Cybertruck.
So stock talk, what's the likelihood? It's pretty low, right? That like new vehicles like this, that's going to impact the stock in the next 3 months, especially the Cybertruck, where we're not expecting a big push in terms of volume.
Yeah, I mean, on an earnings basis, it won't matter. But I mean, the market's forward looking, and again, it's driven stock, and so you don't want things to go badly, regardless of if it's going to matter on the balance sheet immediately or not. You want the rollout to be smooth. You want there to be some sort of visibility on what production scaling will look like. Stocks get forgiven for lack of visibility when they're hyper growth stocks. When a company's growing, like the way Nvidia is growing this year, or the way Tesla was growing 2 years ago, or when you're at this massive clip in unit volume and revenue growth, the market gives you the benefit of the doubt on visibility, and the street and retail investors alike are less demanding on that front. When the macroeconomic situation complicates, and when you have a new product launch and you have self-identified difficulties like Elon mentioned directly on the call himself, you have to prove to the market that it's not an issue. And you have to prove to the market that there's production visibility, because there's this like innate urge in public markets for things to be priced in. Investors want to price things in. They want to know how much a stock should be awarded for the possibility of something happening. And it never happens perfectly, right? That's why people are able to make money trading in markets, because markets never perfectly price in any event. It's always to a degree. And it's the same thing is true with the Cybertruck event. Like, to the extent that you believe the price action today or the outperformance of Tesla versus the NASDAQ recently, whether you believe that's attributed to the hype of the Cybertruck or not, the reality is that some portion of it likely is. And so, that can either exacerbate to the upside, or, if things don't go as the market is expecting to, then you could see some pressure on the stock. But I don't think this is a make or break it moment in the short term for the name, but it could introduce some volatility. Yeah. I mean, if this event tomorrow is very, or sorry, on Thursday is very muted, and it's just basically them showing the Cybertruck everyone's already seen, and there's no new information, and they deliver 10 units, if it's underwhelming from that perspective, yeah, you could see some short-term pressure on the stock, but I don't think that's indicative of what the product's going to be like a year from now.
There's
What
no
it-
how that happens.
I think part of the reaction is going to be the China numbers as well. So I think that's worth stating.
What if
Yeah, those-
what if they show off high margin accessories? I want to ask Matthew and Omar, because Matthew, you talked about how one of the things about the Cybertruck is that Tesla's going to add some accessories to it. For example, the ramps, they kind of announced that. But what if they showed even more high margin accessories like a camper and others? Wouldn't that change the game in terms of the business model? What do you think, Matthew, and then Omar?
Well, it does look like they're going to have some accessories. We've seen a Tesla camper leaked in the latest Tesla app update. It does look like the light bar at the top is going to be an optional accessory. So I do expect there to be some accessories. I mean, they've made accessories for their Tesla vehicles for a long time, different things like the roof rack. Some of these will be a little bit more involved with the Cybertruck, but it's kind of similar to what they've done in the past. It's not entirely different. I mean, selling accessories for a vehicle isn't exactly some incredible innovative new thing, but it could help them potentially allow you to have a lower base price for the product and have maybe some higher margin accessories that can help sort of push up the average order price if you're adding on a bunch of other things, and help them sort of get to a cash flow positive state sooner. So I think that'll probably be one of the most surprising parts of the event is the camper and whatever accessories they have. And I think there'll be some pretty cool use cases for the Cybertruck that will be enabled by these accessories.
Matthew, are you back?
Yeah, sorry I lost you. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what if they have high margin accessories? Which kind of accessories are you expecting?
Yeah. I mean, accessories for a mass-produced truck where all the trucks are the same configuration and an accessory will work for every single one sold are super high margin. So I'm definitely expecting a light bar. We've seen the light bar. I'm expecting a tent or some sort of like pop-up camper. I think it's going to be a lot more basic than some of these aftermarket products that we're seeing, or like stuff like the camper kitchen on the Rivian. I think it's going to be very cost effective, something you can buy for, $1,000 to $2,000. That is kind of a no brainer for a lot of people, or maybe even 4,000 or 5,000, but it's not going to be a huge cost. I'm also expecting a winch. I don't know if that will come at the beginning, but the thing about powered items like a light bar or a winch is automotive accessories right now are 12 volt. We know the Cybertruck is going to be 48 volt. So 12 volt accessory is not going to be compatible with 12 volt accessory is not going to be compatible with 48 volt accessories. So that's why Tesla's going to be making those products themselves. So I did talk to Tesla about a winch. Sounds like that's coming. Sounds like there will also be steel bumpers. So the vehicle comes with standard plastic bumpers. I think there'll be steel bumper aftermarket, or not aftermarket, but like an option from Tesla as well. I don't anticipate a ton of accessories to start, but I do think we'll see like every 6 months, we'll see more and more Tesla accessories rolling out.
Any bike racks or gun racks?
I mean, there's already the basic bike rack that will work on any tow hitch that they sell for the Model X and Y. We did see a Cybertruck with, a tailgate, the kind of tailgate rug that people throw over the back of the tailgate. You often see them with like Fox Racing branding, but people use them for their mountain bikes. So it's probably something like that. I'm sure there's going to be tie downs. We know that there's tie down hooks in the bed of the truck. So I'm sure Tesla might have their own branded tie downs so people can ratchet down any kind of accessory. I do also expect a spare wheel in the bed option. So there might be a spare wheel somewhere in the vehicle that we don't know, like underneath the bed or in the sub trunk, but I imagine there'll be a bed mounted spare wheel option or even multiple spare wheels. The people that do Baja runs typically bring 2 spare wheels. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of Tesla option for that.
Omar, so what's the likelihood that Cybertruck they'll be able to release it with FSD version 12? Some people are saying, well, because it has hardware 4 and it may not be yet optimized for hardware 4, that might not be something that they'll announce or even say that's going to be available for Cybertruck right away.
Well, like any Tesla, it's going to have autopilot and FSD. And the hardware for Teslas are running FSD already. I have a hardware for Tesla. It's running FSD. The latest version already launched for hardware 4 and hardware 3 at the same day. So I don't foresee this being an issue. It's been 8 months since they started shipping hardware 4.
Okay. And what about thrusters? Is it like 0 chance, guys, that there's going to be thrusters here? SpaceX thrusters.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. But yeah,
0 chance.
I think I think there's definitely surprises. I think we have a pretty good list of things that they may show. I think again, completing that crash scene. I mean, I think there are a lot of people asking like, what happens to a Cybertruck in a crash? What happens to the other car in a crash? I think it's very interesting. I think a video showing how bulletproof it is interesting as well. But there's a number of there's a number of places they could go. I think it's just going to be literally one thing after another. I think it's going to blow people away, to be honest. I don't want to raise expectations too high, but I mean, I've just never seen all of this capability in one product. And I've seen some information about the structure of the glass and how it's fabricated. I think there's some very special things going on with that too, in terms of its strength and its capability. So I don't know. People are going to have to, figure out how to consume and like summarize, everything that comes out of tomorrow. But it's going to be pretty exciting. I just want to say this is a very good panel, and there's a lot of great listeners in the audience too. I've seen. I really appreciate, Herbert, you hosting, Xander, Robert, Omar, Stock Talk, and Matthew, just your great insights on Cybertruck and SAT as well. Just to really appreciate the speaker panel.
So Thursday is supposed to be a delivery event. Excuse me. Is it all going to be just customers, like retail investors like us? Or could there be government? Could there be police? Could there be something else that they might, showcase?
Definitely not the government. But I mean, eventually, I think the government will be a customer. But the way this product is featured and constructed, like, why wouldn't the military, when you say government, you maybe mean military, but why wouldn't it be? It's a great point here. Why wouldn't it be? And then, police. I think these are all the things that happen, as demand, is filling out and they're able to start filling, these pre-orders. I think there's going to be a number. When this happens in other industries, by the way, like when we were, just give a mobile phone example of like making a device that's labeled intrinsically safe, for example, where it's actually beyond IP68, it's shock proof and so forth. Those devices, the gross margins on those devices are, north of 80%. And, they do really well because, the government asks for something and it takes a while for you to engineer. But once you figure it out, you can do it at very high margins. So I wouldn't be surprised, if there are going to be military police opportunities where, Tesla has, a line that's building, product, meant for that. And it'd be extremely high margin in my opinion and experience. But today, I mean, it's spec'd as a consumer product. I mean, today we should go off of like what they announce and what they show. But the future is, I would say, I think the possibilities are pretty broad with where this product can go and what it could do. And I had to Google what a winch is. It shows you how much of a
It's a
I've
winch.
never, yeah,
Winch.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, a wench or winch.
Winch.
A wench. Yeah, I Googled both. I got really different answers. Thanks, Matthew, for educating us on that.
I mean, wouldn't they have to at least offer 2 or 3 different wheels at the least? That would be one of the options, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So
like,
did Tesla, but Mark Cuban's selling his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks.
that's after I ripped on him last week on Twitter for hanging up on Elon. And I said, well, you've only won one championship in 23 years of owning the team. You don't have much room to talk.
The Adelson family from Las Vegas Sands is buying it.
Interesting
I
time
hope
to be
that's
selling a sports team.
Knows to Texas. Want that?
Interesting time to be selling a sports team. I mean, I think 2021 was a good time to get out, but now it's, I actually see people piling in. But anyway, he probably got a good offer. Congrats. He's also leaving Shark Tank. Maybe he's having a midlife crisis. Maybe he's going to buy us next.
I also think the Cybertruck is gonna be the best advertisement for Tesla, because I think it's in my opinion, I think it's the best designed vehicle that nobody has to know what the name of it is to know that it's gonna be a Tesla. And then the people, like I told my non-Tesla people about it, and they're like, "Oh, what is this?" So there's a lot of people who don't know about it. So when they actually see it, they realize, "Oh, it's a Tesla." Then that's gonna drive traffic. And it's happened with the previous models too. It's like every time a new model comes out, it drives traffic, and then to Tesla, and then they buy products for it.
Yeah, and those kids that are, were 12 years old looking at the Model S, like, whoa, that's cool. Like, telling their mom or dad. Now those kids are in their 20s potentially when they saw it. They've been playing Grand Theft Auto since their teenage years, and now you're seeing a car that looks like it came out of, one of those video games, and it's actually sitting in front of you in real life. So that's going to have a special meaning for people. It's going to resonate, I think, in a different way, but we'll see. I think the order conversion rate is going to be fascinating. I don't know when Tesla is going to be able to have a good gauge of that. It's probably going to take them a bit of time, but I think it's going to be fascinating. And then all the while they're working on a record quarter in the background for production and deliveries. And it looks like, they've, we have 5 price increases in a row out of China. We have a couple of price increases in the US and Canada. I know we had one price decline to start the quarter, but it seems like they're going in a different direction now. So should be interesting. We're seeing commodity pricing coming down. And this is an interesting time, we see a lot of discussions around global expansion. Is it India next? What's the timeline again for the Mexico facility? What expansion are they doing organically? There's just a lot going on. They'll have a lot to talk about in the Q4 earnings. And by the way, by the time they have the Q4 earnings, they'll have about 3 weeks of point of sale data of the IRA being at point of sale in the United States, where consumers drive off the lot with $7,500 off the invoice price, and it goes right into their costs versus waiting 12 to 16 months for a tax return where they don't know if it's going to work or not. So I think the buyers that actually convert on the IRA is going to go up dramatically. So yeah, just besides the cyber, I know this space is about the Cybertruck, but just the amount of stuff that they're working on in the background, then releasing V12 to employees this week. I mean, are they, if they merge, if it wasn't time for a holiday update, as Omar was saying earlier, that would be really special. I do think they'll ship it when it's appropriate, but that would be super special if it aligned with, Cybertruck customer, external customer delivery. So now it's new UI, it's V12. I think that would be also very, they probably need to get a lot more training data on the Cybertruck, but anyway, that would be very special too. Anybody else on the speaker panel, just, feel free to, if you have any comments, just unmute and speak, and I'll kind of pull some others up.
I also think that internally they're gonna have a break-even point that they're already kind of shooting for. Model S, and Elon was actually asked in the beginning of one of the shareholder meetings that when was a break-even point, and that was when the company was, very volatile. People thought it was going to go bankrupt. So he had said 8,000 at that point, but it was a low volume. They're aiming for 20 to 50,000 units. The Cybertruck is 250,000 or more. So obviously the capex that you have to prepare for is like much bigger. but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot earlier than any of the other OEM EVs that are producing right now at a negative. That's not going to be that long in terms of, I'm pretty sure they're going to figure it out within the 18 months. I also think he's just baked in a little more time to make sure that anything that happens, macro or whatnot, or any delays in production or kinks that they find out in the new platform. But whatever they found out also in the new platform is going to trickle down to the other sides of the production as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You know, it's the competitive OEMs right now, they may not even have a break-even point, is what I surmise. That's one of the reasons why they just didn't I think at some point during the year, they realized, well, if we put our foot down on the pedal, and even if like Ford, if we get to this 150 run rate per quarter, I honestly think that they would just literally, I don't think they would even get to break even if they got to that run rate across Mach-E and the F-150. I actually think they have broken unit economics. One of the reasons is just how the whole system, how their whole supply chain and order system is organized, the number of configurations, and the fact that, you know, they were lumpy in supply, and they're probably very lumpy in demand because their dealers weren't pulling the product through. And what that did is that just broke the entire economics of the supply chain. Because if you don't have consistent demand, and if you have lumpy demand, you'll have low and inconsistent utilization, and that'll take your cost structure way up, your fixed cost structure way up, and you won't even know your COGS throughout the quarter. You'll be in the dark because your demand's lumpy. So Tesla is set up in a way where it's a very low model count, and all they're doing is expanding geographically. They're expanding in that way. And they did take a step back with Berlin and Austin, but that was to be expected. That wasn't like they're just going to introduce new factories and keep going from a COGS perspective. But I think they're on the right track again, and they have the demand side of the equation. I don't want to say solved. It makes it sound too simple, but it's solved in a way where they can continue to grow and grow into their fixed capital, and where the other competition, they don't even have a path to do it. And then even the way they kind of came out, like with GM, like, we're going to do 30 models by this year. That's a horrible approach when you don't have the capacity in your supply chain set up and ready to go. It's a horrible approach. All that does is it's going to increase your excess and obsolescence. It's going to increase your inventory. It's going to really slow down your supply chain. You're not going to know what to order and what to have ready from a supply perspective. So anyway, I just think Tesla's set up structurally, and then Cybertruck just takes that to a whole new level. There's going to be 2 variants to build of the product, and they're probably going to be somewhere on the order of, 85 to 90% identical in bill of material and manufacturing approach. So that's even, it's almost like building the same product with, so anyway, just structurally very different.
Yeah, I can add on to that is that the Model S at one point had several colors more than we had now, like even the green color. And when the Model 3 and Y came out, it only had a few colors. We still only have 5 or 6 colors. And people would complain, hey, could we have more colors? And it's like, no, that's how they streamlined the production. And that's why the manufacturing is very efficient. Now they got rid of the entire thing about the coloring. Now you only have one color, right? And if it's so important for you, you can just get it aftermarket, which they have started offering as an accessory part, or you could just go to your own detailer. So they're always prioritizing efficiency and streamlining it over having 30 or 20, whatever amount of products that other OEMs try to do, like a glitzy kind of marketing campaign. And it's kind of like what Apple does. You only have like 2 or 3 options, but Tesla actually has the majority of the market share in EVs. So the production line from the very beginning is set to be very efficient, and it's going to be focused on just a few variants on purpose, and they won't expand too much further from that. Whereas the other OEMs are splicing together like a gas car. It's not going to work.
Yeah, precisely.
So I got a question for Matthew and Omar. So some people are saying that, look, the Cybertruck looks is one thing, and it's very polarizing. What matters is its performance. How does this compare to other trucks in terms of towing capability, bed size, in terms of its usability in work conditions and others? Can you guys tell me, is this going to just blow them all away? Is it going to be sacrificing in certain areas? What's your expectation?
Yeah, so I'll answer by kind of expanding on what Jeff said. The Cybertruck is going to come in essentially 2 variations. the Ford F-150, the leader in the market that sells 750,000 units a year, has literally.
Hey, Matthew, your mic keeps coming in and out. Can you speak a little bit clearer?
All right, sorry, took off the AirPods. How's that?
That's it. Perfect.
Yeah, so if we compare the Cybertruck to the F-150, the Cybertruck is going to come in two different variations. The F-150 comes in many configurations and millions of combinations. And so the Cybertruck towing and payload numbers, they slot in the mid to upper end of the F-150. So you can get an F-150 that tows more than a Cybertruck, and you can get an F-150 that has a higher payload capacity than a Cybertruck. Payload is the amount of weight you can put in the bed and the cabin of the truck. However, the Cybertruck comes equipped as an off-road vehicle. It comes with a skid plate. It comes with, beefy tires like, say, a Ford Raptor. When you get an off-road suspension, you lose payload capacity because you have a, Springer suspension. It can't it's not designed to have as much payload, and it's definitely not designed to have as much towing capacity. So the Cybertruck from the get-go will have better towing and better payload than a Ford Raptor, but it's not going to be the best of an F-150. The thing about Tesla is Tesla sandbags its towing capability. If you look at the Model X has a 5,000-pound towing capability. Other SUVs of that size, of that weight, of that power can tow about double that amount. If you look at a Range Rover Sport, they're rated for like 8,000 pounds. A regular Range Rover is like 9 or 10,000 pounds. That's a similar size vehicle to the Model X. The Model X, you see videos of it towing a 747. So it can tow a higher amount, but I think Tesla purposely says the towing capacity is lower because they really don't want somebody towing something very heavy, and instead of the range getting cut in half, now the range gets cut by 75. So 12,500 pounds, I believe, is the rumor of the towing capacity of the Cybertruck. I think that's going to meet the needs of 99% of the people who buy an F-150. People who need to tow 15,000 pounds are not buying an F-150. They're buying an F-250 or an F-350.
Thanks, Matthew. Whoa. Okay. So this thing is happening in Thursday. We're talking 2 days from now. The excitement level is pretty high. I think everybody here except me is going, correct? Like Sats and Xander, Jeff. Oh, Matthew, you'll be there. Oh, Stock Talk not. Omar, you're definitely going to be there. And then there's an after party as well. That's going to be pretty big. Yeah. So, what are you guys looking forward to? Jeff and Omar, you guys going to be there? Sat and Xander. It's going to be a giant party. What are you guys thinking? Nobody's excited?
I'm excited. I saw Omar unmute, but maybe he's permanently unmuted.
Well, I just wasn't sure who you were addressing. You named a lot of people, but
I
yeah,
did.
of course, I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm excited to see what the pricing and specs are going to be. I think it's interesting that it's during market hours as well. So, I mean, I'm just excited to see it in person, take a test drive, and finally let the cat out of the bag. It seems like there's a lot of secrets. We've seen a lot of things come out. I just pinned up to at the top the Cybertruck Beast Mode visualization or graphic. So, we're still, after all these people pouring over it, we're still getting these little leaks coming out right now, a few days before the delivery event. So it'll be interesting to see everything for ourselves and not have to sort of just be looking at Twitter. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of exciting news.
Stock Talk, what do you think about it being done during the market hours?
I mean, I think it's an interesting decision, but I mean, I don't think it's all too important. At the end of the day, this event is unlikely to give us a real idea of what the production ramp will look like, and that's what the market really cares about. So you may get some volatility around the event, but I don't think it's going to be permanent. I think what will matter a lot more will be what the production ramp looks like over the course of the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters, maybe even next year.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be great energy at the event. Someone like me, it's coming out of 20-degree weather in Chicago, is looking forward to 60-degree weather. I think I'm going to be, in a tank top, shorts, or something like that. And I'm just looking forward to, meeting everyone and seeing people. I haven't met a lot of people in the community. I've met a fair number, but I'll always love to meet more people. So if you're at the event, you see me, it's pretty hard to miss. Just stop by and say hello. And yeah, just looking forward to that. Seeing the people.
When Chris from Dirty Tesla said that he's actually going to take delivery Is that true, or was he joking around?
I think there was a very dirty Tesla in one of the
So it's a joke.
Joe Tegmeyer.
You got caught. Okay, gotcha.
Maybe. I don't know. By the way, if you are going to take delivery, I'm sure Tesla probably had you sign an NDA that's saying don't talk about it. So I wouldn't talk
Okay.
about it if I was taking delivery.
Jesus, I fell for it because Chris is such a nice guy. He's so honest. So it's like I fell for it.
Hey, I've got
I'm real-
fun. How much would you take to give up your +1 or your ticket? I've been getting crazy $1,000 offers.
Wow. Didn't Omar, didn't you get some crazy number early on?
Yeah, someone offered $8,000 for a +1.
That's oddly specific number. Why 8,000?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, I got offered 4 today in the comments of me bragging about getting in. Thanks to Satoshi on stage here. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, I really look forward to the Cybertruck because it's a really completely different design that they're coming out with, and just to see what the incorporation of the UI and how they incorporate it to the product, that's going to be something I look forward to. So I'm really excited to see it up close and then revealing all the little nuggets.
And then what about, there's a reason, right, why Sandy Monroe flew in there. They're probably he's probably one of the first, right? That's going to get delivery. I think there's little hints that I'm guessing that's why he's there.
I don't think so. I heard it's all going to be employees.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Wait a minute. I heard from someone prominent in the community that a friend who's a nobody's getting one.
A friend of a friend of a friend.
Sure they are. I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, now all the rumors are coming out. This is why everybody tuned in.
No, I know, but that's Omar had a good tweet saying it's all rumors. It's all rumors, and we shouldn't, as much as we want to, lump on some of these things.
I don't think we know anything. I think they've done a pretty decent job of keeping a lot of stuff under wraps. So
Yeah, it's Apple-esque, isn't it? This thing where nobody's, the leaks haven't come out yet in terms of price or range or other things.
I mean, they must have had to adopt Gestapo tactics to keep it this secret for this long.
yeah. Well, the tracking capability, I think, in the company has also improved. So yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, thank you guys very much. This is exciting. Cybertruck. Appreciate all the great guests and the guest bulls, Omar, Stock Talk, Matthew, Sat, and we even had Sawyer earlier and Robert Scoble. Thank you, everybody. We'll find out soon enough. It's less than 48 hours. Yes, it is less than 48 hours. Believe it or not, we're going to hear everything. Thanks, everybody. And please follow the panel members and follow Cyberbulls 1. And we'll do more of these weekly spaces. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Herbert.
Bye.
Thank you.